new year, a new fare. On the 2nd of January, millions of people across the country faced a hike in rail prices. Unsurprisingly, commuters at King's Cross were not happy.
Oh, that's pretty disgusting, especially after this upheaval we had in the last week.
Yes, I do believe they're very expensive. It's much cheaper to travel by car.
I'm not sure it's justified given all the chaos that we experienced a few days ago. I think it's a great system. It functions well when it functions well. I guess the only thing I have against it are the costs. So when they go up, it's just yet another sinking feeling in the wallet particularly.
I think it's an absolute disgrace. I think we should take back the rail service and profit from it as passengers instead of having private investors profit in it.
Rising fares, overcrowded trains and delayed services have led to increasing anger over how Britain's railways are run. According to a YouGov survey last year, 60% of the British public support renationalising the railways. The main reason cited, that they want the railways to be accountable to taxpayers rather than shareholders. This begs the question, could we see a renationalisation of Britain's railways in the future?
And in a way, the railways are victims of their own success. They have attracted a lot of people off the roads, and they have not got sufficient capacity to always deal with that and ensure that people can have seats.
Author and journalist Christian Walmer has written numerous books on the history of Britain's railways. He argues the speed of privatisation has meant the last 20 years have been a bumpy ride.
We had a very rapid stage of privatisation. It was done far too quickly. Between 1992, when the Conservatives surprisingly won the election, and 1997, it was broken up into more than 100 parts, with mainly the rail track then, which was a private company running the infrastructure, 25 train operators, various freight companies and all sorts of ancillary companies supporting that. It's a fragmented industry. And I think we've suffered from that, and I think we are paying more for the railways than we need to if there wasn't a more integrated system, like there is in most countries in Europe.
Since privatisation, passenger numbers have doubled from 750 million in 1995 to 1.5 billion today. But according to one study last year, some train fares have increased by up to 245%. The unions have claimed that under this system, rail fares have become unaffordable.
The promise of privatisation initially was that everything would drive competition and competition would drive fares down. The reality is, since privatisation, the 2 decades we've had it, fares have gone up by 65%. That's over 20% in real terms, and continue to go up by RPI or more every year. And we now have, post-recession, studies that tell us we've got people that have such things as transport poverty, where they're paying 24 and 26% of their gross income to get to or from work and have no choice to do so. And eventually, subsidising the industry by the back door for the privateers to make massive profits while increasing fares is becoming an increasing problem for us.
Whilst the railway infrastructure itself is now back in public hands under Network Rail, the passenger services on the tracks are run by various train operating companies who bid for franchises. One franchise that is in public hands, at least until March, is East Coast. Taken over in November 2009 after National Express was refused further financial support and lost a franchise, it has been hugely successful, bringing in around £1 billion to the exchequer.
Well, the East Coast is a relatively simple franchise because it's not a huge number of trains every day with only quite a limited number of stations, intercity routes, no suburban services. So it's relatively easy to run. It's been a success because it was taken over by the public sector but run by experienced railway people. So it wasn't that much difference from the other franchises, except for the fact that nobody was creaming off a certain percentage to pay the profits of a private company.
The whole franchising process was thrown into doubt in 2012 when the Department for Transport scrapped awarding the West Coast franchise to First Group after significant technical flaws were found in the bidding process. Last year, Green MP Caroline Lucas presented a private member's bill to Parliament, calling for rail operators to be gradually brought back into public hands as franchises expire. But others, such as Ben Southwood at libertarian think tank the Adam Smith Institute, say that renationalisation is not necessarily the answer.
The other way of doing it would be having multiple different train companies running on each line. If you could do that safely, which I imagine we could now, rail safety in the UK is the best in Europe at the moment, and I imagine we could do that. But then the alternative is to have regional monopolies who own the track and the rail. That could work just as well, I don't know. That's what we had when rail was most successful in the UK before 1913, so maybe that's the best way. Between 1948 and 1995, the railways were nationalised, and almost no one thinks it was an era of success. The nationalisation thing is a big red herring. We don't just solve the problem by nationalising them, and we might cause new problems.
The railway's fate largely rests on the outcome of the general election. The Conservatives would most likely continue the franchising process, whilst Labour have called for a review. Regardless of the outcome, this is a debate that is unlikely to go away anytime soon. With grand railway projects in the works such as High Speed 2 between London and Birmingham, and Crossrail cutting through the capital, the railway seems set to continue to be of vital importance to the future of Britain's economy, whether in private or public hands.